sorry this moment. You know, normally we do a one intro, but there's something else that I didn't leave out, and I do remind everybody that the book that he has written is called Into the Gleam. Toward the Gleam. Into. I went from toward to into. Toward the Gleam. It's a history book, a history novel in such a way. You know what? I'm going to let Tom Doran and our co-host speak about it. The book is awesome. I mean, just simply awesome. Simply awesome. I mean, like the word I just used finally, incredible. Incredible. So you know what? We're going to have him come on. And you know what? Come on up. Come on up. Come on up. Come on up. Yes. A pleasure, Tom. A pleasure. So you know what? This is Tom, T.M. Doran. Yes. And I usually do it when there's somebody special in here. I like a special tune. So guess what? I'm gonna have you play something. Surprise.
So, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, no kidding.
Wonderful. Thank you.
I always try to be ready for things like that. Try it again. You threw me off guard.
Imagine a world where a man can look confident, successful, professional. Imagine a place where a man can feel welcome, relaxed, comfortable, and pampered.
Tom Doran. It's a pleasure to meet you. And you go ahead and start you out. Where'd you come from today?
Well, we
Start
live in
that way.
Plymouth. We live in Plymouth, not too far from here. And I was born and raised downriver,
Okay.
Detroit area. So still have a lot of warm feelings for the area.
Did you attend school in that area throughout your life?
I
or-
did. Well, for at least through high school.
Okay.
And then I went to school, I went to college at Purdue.
Great.
And I was there for 5.5 years.
And you went into, I believe, engineering, correct?
Engineering. I've been practicing engineering for over 30 years.
Is that you enjoy that as much as you do? I mean, you're writing. Do you enjoy that as much as writing, or?
Well, I do in a different kind of way.
Okay.
It uses a different sort of thinking process, and I've enjoyed it. I feel that it's a profession that adds a lot to people's lives. People don't always notice it, but it adds a lot to people's lives, the drinking water and all of the wastewater treatment, the roads, etc. So it's been a great career. I've enjoyed it.
And getting back to the writing, you said that's something you've always had a passion for, right? Even as a small little guy, did you kind of just, I think I was asking it earlier, you said as far back as you can remember, you've been writing and doodling down something, right?
I have been, and as soon as I learned my letters and learned how to read and write, I think I started writing things. Short things, but I've been writing my whole life. I love it. It's a real vocation for me, and it's something I rarely go a week. I rarely go a week without writing something.
Are you the type of guy that likes, as a kid, were you the type of guy that wrote out a story, or did you love to tell stories too in person? I mean, how did that work for you?
Well, that's a great question. I think of myself as someone who's better writing a story than telling a story.
Okay.
I'm not sure why that is, but I just feel a lot more comfortable with a pen in my hand or working on a keyboard than I would standing in front of a group and telling a story.
So that Teddy Ruxpin teddy bear that told stories wasn't really a threat for you, then? Is that
No, no, not at all, not at all.
So now the book we're talking about today is Toward the Gleam by Tom Doran. This was not your first book, though, was it? That had been published?
No, I self-published a book called Circling the Turtle that has to do with a person who is actually dying, and goes up to Mackinac Island, and things begin to happen. So that was a book that I really enjoyed. I spent a lot of time on it. I spent time on the island researching it.
Okay.
But this is the first book that I have had published by a regular publisher, Ignatius Press.
Right. And it's been an exciting process for young authors, or it doesn't matter if you're young, whatever age you're at. You can be young at your stage. Maybe age-wise you're not the youngest, but hey, get their writing. What kind of process was that like? I mean, is it about a five-year process, or has it been more than that leading up to the book Toward the Gleam?
Writing Toward the Gleam, it was a 5-year process to write the book. About 5 years, a little bit more than 5 years. But there's a lot of history in the book, and that process, I tell people, took 20 to 25 years in the sense that I love to read books about history. I love biographies of people. I especially love biographies. And so I drew very extensively on those biographies and histories I've read in the last 25 years in writing Toward the Gleam.
I'm taking it from the other one was called Circling the Turtle, correct?
Circling the Turtle.
You said you went up to Mackinac and you did research, so you kind of wrote, did you write while you were there on the island, and is that kind of you did that one, or?
Well, my writing process, and maybe it's partly my engineering background, my writing process is I'll get an idea, and then I'll start mapping the story out. I'll keep a journal where I'll just add any idea that happens to come to me that might bear on the story, and I start mapping it out in terms of the chapters, in terms of what's going to happen within the chapters. And it makes it easier for me because then when I get ready to really sit down and write seriously, I have a map in front of me of that particular chapter, and I can flow through it. Now, certainly I go off in strange directions that I never thought I would do when I put the map together, but at least it keeps me somewhat disciplined when I'm writing.
Right, because I mean, and we were talking about that earlier, saying, you know, you love to read, correct? You said that
I
before.
love to
You
read.
love to read.
Love
and
to
you just
read
mentioned that.
literature, history, biographies, a
Right.
little bit of everything.
So when creating the story is a bit of, in your head, is a bit of everything everywhere, and you try to, as much as possible, form that into a, like you said, a roadmap, or correct? Because otherwise, is it very, if you don't do that, do you find yourself just kind of too many thoughts going everywhere, and it made it very hard to follow it, or?
I do. And that's why I keep the journal, and I'll just drop ideas in there for maybe a year or two, and just keep adding the ideas. And I won't even try to necessarily sort the ideas. Then I'll go back, and when I really start seriously writing the story, then I'll go back and assign a chapter number, let's say, to the various ideas.
Okay.
And that way, when I get to that chapter, I can pull them in at the appropriate place.
Right.
It doesn't always work like that. It sounds
Right.
It
Well,
sounds a little more disciplined than it really is in practice, because a lot of it I find a lot of it just flows, especially when I have a dialogue going between characters. A lot of things just start happening that I didn't plan to have happen.
Right. Well, maybe for different writers out there that are beginning their career, how did you follow that process of work? I believe you were still maintaining a full-time job at this point in time, right?
I was.
You got a family. How did you
raise a family?
How did you squeeze the time in there? You know, I think a lot of people are busy. How did you just, like you said, just here and there every few minutes, just take 5 minutes here and write something down and work on it at a different time, or how'd that work
Well,
for
my
you?
wife could probably tell you a little bit better about how all that worked. I think sometimes it worked better than others, but it was a challenging process sometimes, and she was really great, because it does preoccupy you for hours and days at a time. That's the only way you're going to be able to produce a significant book, I think. But there were times when my career and my family basically dictated that I couldn't work on a story for a while. But then I'd get back into it and get going with it again.
Well, I got to say, I read a little bit of the book that I did read, and I enjoyed very much. I could see the passion in it when you wrote. Like I was telling you earlier, I could really see you had a great gift at just putting little details in.
Thank you.
Not so much that, like you said, you didn't have a chance to imagine, but enough to put a seed there that planted it and to feed off of that. So I could definitely see, 5